Good afternoon. Today we shall have a discussion on the group dynamics and the group behaviors. In the organizational setting, understanding the group dynamics and understanding the group behavior is essential for the management. Because employees will work in group, there will be the different formal group structures which are actually referred as the departments. Other than the departmental structure, there can be some informal groups as well. So understanding the relationship amongst the elements of the groups as well as the intergroup relationship is essential for the management to feel the pulse of the employees in the organization. Failing to do which can lead to a serious problem to the organization. So today we will see that how the group dynamics are actually structuring and what are the different factors that will essentially contribute to the group dynamics and behavior. So as usually, we will share a presentation. This is a presentation on group behavior and dynamics. Now, first thing that we have to think about is the group effectiveness. If a group is there in the organization, and if we are nurturing a group, if we are encouraging a group to exist in the organization, what will be the benefits? So those benefits are actually referred here as the group effectiveness. First of all, the productivity. It has been observed through the different organizational behavioral research. Already we had talked in our previous sessions, especially in the theories of motivation, that how the relationship, I can refer to the human relationship theory. So that says that how the group relationship or the cohesions between the different elements of the groups or simply the employees in an organization, how it can relate, how it can provide a better productivity in the organization. Definitely we can see an enhanced attendance level, higher job satisfaction, better attitude, employee well-being, the learning process which will be much more smooth, as well as the retention of the employee. The employee will stay in the organization if this group cohesiveness and the group relationship is actually being maintained. If not, we can see the negative aspects of all these features, like we can say the less productivity, less attendance, less job satisfaction, and like this. Now, the types of groups. First of all, in the organization, we have two types of groups. One is the formal, second one is the informal. The formal groups are basically two types. One is the task group. For example, a department is a task group. They have been assigned with a certain task and they are performing that. Other than that, there can be the groups which will be actually created to execute certain commands. So that kind of groups can be referred as a command groups. For example, a particular a task will be done in a short span of time. So for that, someone has been appointed as the head of the group, and he will be having certain subordinates under him, and he will be instructing the subordinates, and accordingly the subordinates will perform. So these are the command groups, where the commands will be flowing from one direction to another, usually from top to bottom, and the others will execute that. Especially we can see this types of groups presence in the warfare. So all these groups will be the command groups. The troops also you may say. Second one, the task group, which are very commonly observed in case of the organization, which are referred as the departments, where certain tasks have been assigned and they are performing the task. But the informal groups are definitely it cannot be definitely placed within a particular boundary. First of all, the interest group. It may happen that within an organization, a few colleagues are having certain interest. For example, if you have the interest on the cricket, you have the interest on cinema and the literature, whatever be, politics, whatever be. So we will see that irrespective of their departmental boundaries, the people will flock together, they will sit together, they will assemble together to have a discussion on a certain topic. So this type of groups completely informal, and these are known as the interest groups. On the other hand, the membership groups, if sometime it is happening that based on a common membership, those type of groups are often created. For example, there is a within the organization there is a club. Okay, some office club is there. So the people are actually taking the membership of that club. Maybe that club is actually having the activities like different cultural activities and all. So this is informal group. The people are actually, no one is forced to join. People are joining out of their interest. So this has got some connection with the interest group as well. But finally, this can be referred as the membership group because they have taken the membership of that club. Similarly, the friendship groups, needless saying, this kind of groups are available everywhere, especially in school and colleges and universities as well. And the same thing can be observed in case of the organization as well. And the reference group, normally the family is the best example of a reference group where actually we are sharing the common values, common thought process and all. So these are the groups which are actually functioning as the reference groups. So now we have to think about one thing, that why these groups are important. So let us see that what are the utilities of these groups. Before moving to this utilities of this group, rather I should move back to this thing. These kinds of groups will actually lead to the group effectiveness. Whatever be the kind of the groups, either informal or the formal, ultimately these are the effectiveness, these are the results, positive results that we obtain from the creation and formation of the productivity, attendance, job satisfaction, and many more. So these are the impacts of creating the groups, whether it is formal or informal in the organization. Now, let us come to the formation of the groups. I told you about the different kinds of the groups, but how these groups will be formed? What will be the binding factor? Formal groups, there will be an obligation and the compulsion. There will be the organization and the rules, norms, and the service conditions that will actually bind these groups. So command groups and the task groups are all that kind. But what about the informal groups? I told you the interest. Interest is definitely the basic or common interest will be binding. In case of the membership, obviously there will be again a common interest of having the membership of a particular subgroup of the organization. But other than these factors, there are certain other factors which can also play a very, very important role in forming the groups. And amongst them, the personal traits will be a vital factor. For example, in case of the friendship groups, let's refer to that. Friendship group. This type of groups are actually created in view of the commonalities amongst the either the classmates in case of the educational institutions or in case of the organizations among the colleagues. Means if the colleagues' thought process are of the same wavelength, then we will see that this type the colleagues will actually assemble together to form a friendship. They will become friend, and the personal trait means the individual characteristics and behavior will actually influence. Identical objective, the ideology, the purpose, whatever they have, if we can see that there is a commonality, the identical types are there, so definitely the people will be attracted to each other. If my thought process is matching with another one, if my objective, my ideology, my beliefs are actually matching with another one, definitely I will be attracted to that person. So this way, gradually, a group will be created. Emerging leadership, definitely in case of a group, when it's formed, there will be certain leadership, otherwise the group will dissociate. Now in case of the informal group creation, although the leadership will remain informal because there is no question of having an informal leadership, but still we will see that even within a friendship group, there will be one emerging leader or a leader who will emerge as a leader itself. So this type of occurrences are very common. In case of the common friendship groups as well, we will find that one person is actually acting as a leader, obviously in informal mode, but still he is acting as a leader. And finally, the interaction. More you have interaction, more you have a strong group created, more bondage will be observed. Finally, we shall go to the last slide of this particular video lecture, the development of group. Actually, there are four steps. There are five steps basically. There is another step which is known as the adjourning, which is missing in the slide. Uh, First one is forming. So when the group is being created, first of all, we are forming the group. Second one, storming, means the initially all may not accept each other. So that acceptance will come later. First of all, there will be debates. There will be confrontation of ideas. Through that confrontation of ideas, few members will exit the group. Forming is basically the assembling, the collection. Through the storming, the brainstorming phase, or the confrontation, talks, discussion, basically the counter opinions. So we will see that actually that will function as the cohesive material for bonding a group. There will be the happenings where after this storming stage is, few people will go away from the group. And after that, once this storming phase is done with, once the group is structurally stabilizing, then the norms of the groups will be created. Automatically, there will be certain norms, what to do, what not to do. What will be the basic principles to be followed by a group, even if it is an informal group. That all will be done. And next one will be the performing. The group will perform in the direction of the norms that have been created. Now, it is equally applicable for a formal group. The same applies for an informal group as well. So that's why this is a generic developmental process. There is another stage which is actually known as adjourning. That stage is basically the last stage of the group. Sometimes it may say that a group can dissociate as well. A formal group can functionally and formally dissociate. An informal group can also dissociate. So in that case, definitely the adjourning stage will be the last stage, when actually we are adjourning the group activities or the performance, and finally the group is resolving. So this way the group issues are resolving and the group is finally being dissolved. So all these steps will be present in case of the development of the groups. So these are the different dimensions of the group dynamics. We shall continue with our discussion. Till that point of time, thank you very much. Stay indoor and stay safe.